Welcome back to Media 7, where I'm talking about body image in the media with Next editor Christina Wickstead, Joe Cotton and Tracy Barnett. Now that Peter Jackson has buckled to perception and become half the man he was, who stands up for the bearish chap? Jose Barbosa, that's who. We sent Jose to interrogate beauty.
Hello, I'm Jose Barbosa, and I'm not beautiful. But there are a lot of people who are, and I used to hate them.
I thought, who are they to flaunt their physical wellness and ability to walk upstairs without coughing up blood? I used to think like that until I had to start doing things on TV, and I realised there was a reason why Wendy Petrie's still around. She's really attractive, while I'm sort of a cross between Gimli and indie sellout Kevin Smith, with slightly better personal hygiene. So if I want to keep my job and wardrobe allowance, I need to spruce up. I need to be more Jeremy Wells than Bob McNeil. I could turn to cosmetic surgery rag Beautiful You, the latest issue of which features an article by appearance medicine physician Dr. Sarah Hart, who suggests taking Botox can alleviate depression. Instead, I think I'll consult the beauty-minded massive for their help. And where better to find the biggest concentration of people concerned with their appearance than Auckland's Alizé Racecourse on Melbourne Cup Day. I'm sure that here I'll find the path to a more beautiful and palatable me.
If you could take a look at me now, and sort of tell me any parts you think I should look at.
Shoes.
Shoes. Well, I'm not sure about the shoes. Your shoes?
Maybe the shoes.
What's wrong with the shoes?
Well, the thing is you're short. Like when you're short, like I'm short, you've got to have like a little bit of a heel.
Well, you asked me as a woman, right? And personally, I don't like hair on faces. Full stop. I probably have a shave.
Get rid of the beard, yeah.
Maybe that trimmed a little bit more.
I mean, look at these. There's some grey ones. I could probably pluck them.
You look all right to me.
Maybe just trim the hair, dude. That's all. Yeah, everything else is great.
Take that off, then you probably look maybe a little bit slimmer.
Yes, I quite like a man with a flat stomach.
Lose 5-10 kgs and I think you'll be in great shape and good.
You're not over big.
Chicks love puka. They all do. Otherwise, you're just, a fellow who just thinks about himself.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're doing all right.
You're low maintenance. Eh?
It takes different things in everyone's lives to make them happy. If you're happy with how you appear, then who cares?
I've learnt so much here. I now know I have to own more than one pair of shoes, that I should tuck in my shirt, and that my cameraman has trouble dressing himself.
Actually, his fly's down.
Flying low. Marcus, you're at half-mast.
I've made new friends here who judge me on my appearance and clothes, rather than arbitrary things like character, loyalty, and intrinsic goodness.
It's not about looks, it's about what's inside.
Inside your wallet? Yeah.
You could be cunning. Chicks love cunning as well, hey? That's the thing.
I tend to not look at myself. I just don't want to know.
Well, other than that, you're an extremely attractive man. So what do you got to do? Keep the lights off, and you're fine.
You just don't look at yourself. It's the #1 tip.
With all they've taught me, I'm now ready to start a career in television and take my place alongside Simon and Wendy, Carly, Pippa and Samantha. I've come home.
The low-maintenance Jose Barbosa there, and he was wandering around with this clutched in his sweaty little hand, and this is Beautiful You, which describes itself as a beauty magazine. It's a cosmetic magazine, plastic surgery and stuff, but the thing that we noticed about this is even this image is photoshopped. This woman has had her hips narrowed digitally, so nothing that's being sold in this magazine could actually procure that figure. It kind of says it all a wee bit, doesn't it, Tracy?
So bloody depressing. You know, the reality is that we would all love to look like Penelope Cruz without photoshopping. You know, that's our standard. You know, do you think that Javier Bardem kind of takes Penelope Cruz in his arms and says, "Oh, you're so gorgeous, except if you could get rid of that pimple there, let me just get my eraser tool." You know, it's just, we would be very happy, thank you very much, to aspire to be simply a beautiful woman without photoshopping.
But I wonder though, because I think most people in their lives are perpetually in the "if only I was." Even Penelope Cruz, I bet you there's something in her mind where she thinks, if only I had this, or if only this one little thing. Because even the most perfect people, like my husband will say, some of the best-looking women that he's been out with tend to be the most insecure. They're the ones that are freaking out about, like, one ear being bigger than the other, or a foot having an extra toe or something. Do you know what I mean? Obviously that would be an issue, I guess, but you know, if you look like Penelope Cruz, who cares about the extra toe? You know what I'm saying? And yet,
I mean,
do you know what I think?
Yeah.
I think women are photoshopping themselves. I think that we are actually truly changing women's perception of reality. I mean, how many women have you met lately that have had so much Botox or so much cosmetic surgery that they actually think that the veneer, this new Photoshop look, is something they should be replicating? I think there are women out there that have lost perspective, and you meet them socially, and you think, can you see that your face isn't working?
I will tell you, I was with some people recently potentially associated with that magazine, and I was talking to them about Botox because I've reached an age, you know, I'm 31 and things are aging. I know it's not terrible age, but I have noticed that things have started to age.
Please, girl.
They do change. It's life. Things happen. You age, you get wrinkles, whatever. And it's starting. And that's the thing, is you start to go, hey, my face doesn't look quite like it did 2 years ago. And so I was talking to these ladies about Botox, and oh God, it was very unusual. This woman pulled up her fringe and she said, look, I've had it, can you tell? And she said, look, this is me smiling. And she smiled, and she said, this is me frowning. She was like, see, you can't tell. At no point did any of this part of her head move. And the thing was, if anything, she put me off having the Botox because of doing that, because it was so obvious. And so I went and got a fringe to cover it all up. You know
what Christina says is that, you know, we can all say that, oh, head like a bowling ball, but do you think it's true what Christina says, that women are looking at these images and they have internalised the idea that that's the way to look?
The problem is that, you know, magazines do it and we do it as well. We're sort of perpetuating the idea that perfection exists. Well, and it's different to every person, but to ourselves, you know, we're always trying to strive to be perfect. And when magazines Photoshop people, you know, we actually do believe that that's what they really look like. So therefore, perfection somewhere does exist, and we know we're not it, you know. And I just think we do tend to go, I don't know if we go, oh, we're photoshopping ourselves, but I think we start to go, oh, well, if I just had this, or if I just had this, or if I just had these, you know, and we can only picture ourselves that way, and so to us, we won't be good enough until we are that, you know?
Jo, I think your point's a really good one, and Russell, I think your point was bollocks, actually, which is that I think we have to... Christina, you have to take specific responsibility for what comes out next month in your magazine. And believe it or not, we're all going to be watching, because I'm going to be really interested that the next 5 covers are not Photoshopped. Thank you very much.
And that's exactly it. And as a manager of a very, very profitable business unit, that's the bravery I have to have, and that's what every editor has to have. But isn't it a sad commentary that has to be considered bravery?
It is. I mean, actually, a gorgeous woman doesn't necessarily have to sell magazines. A great example of that is the Oprah magazine. You know, when she initially started her magazine, she put herself on the cover for the first issue, and it sold really well because Oprah was on the cover. Thank you very much. The intention was never to have her on the cover every month, but what ended up happening is they put other people on the cover, and when they put her back on the cover, that's when the issue sold again.
But do you think she wasn't photoshopped?
She certainly could have been photoshopped, but the reality is she's not selling a gorgeous image. She's selling the woman behind the image.
But I mean, half of the stories we hear about Oprah, about her dramas with weight, that's become the story about Oprah.
And that's the thing, she's perpetually in the if only I was stage of her life as well, because she may come across as confident and successful and things, but she is continuously battling with her weight, whether it be publicly, which she used to do, but then I think it became so disappointing when it would go the other way that now she does it privately. But she is always like, you know, worried about those parts of herself. Right. And I think that's what is probably so saleable about her, is that there's something about her that we can all relate to, because she isn't perfect. So we do appreciate that.
So she's not aspirational in that way. She's like us, well, not, you know, like you, whereas I think Christina, a great many of the images, and women seem to want to buy this, are aspirational. I wish I looked like that.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to experiment with, is women are getting used to the fact that the aspirational image that they put their money behind and talk at the till is the image of the beautiful you know, Photoshop woman. What we have to do is look at photography, look at portraiture, look at images, and try to really, really work at making the images on the cover of women that aren't photoshopped more aspirational than that. Now, that's not as easy as it sounds, but you have to aim for that. You have to aim for an image, and you have to really encourage consumers to think about their purchase, because at the moment, I don't think they're actually.
So that's your job and not the government, because it is interesting looking at this Australian. You know, they've got the task force, and they're going to put pressure on the media. I can imagine, particularly you know, under the last Labor government, if someone had tried that, they would have been hell to pay.
Yeah.
People would have thought it was the nanny state.
Yeah, and look, you can't. I mean, one thing that you can't take away from women in this whole debate is choice. You know, the woman who buys the photoshopped image has the choice. The celebrity who begs to be photoshopped, she has the choice. But what we have to do is educate her about her choice.
I have a hard
time
with that if, in fact, she's not presented with the next magazine that's photoshopped.
That's exactly it. So she has, but she can't have the choice taken away from her. So what I want to do is give her a choice that's different to what every other magazine that's sitting there on the newsstand. Right. Fortunately, New Zealand does have, for its population, an enormous number of magazines that are actually 100% made here. So therefore, we actually, unlike other countries, have the ability to actually change this, ride this wave, and go with this trend. You know, digital photography has only been mainstream in New Zealand magazines for about 18 months. You know, the two major magazine companies in New Zealand, you know, they're still having meetings. In fact, I was in one yesterday about how to get the top photographers in this country comfortable with digital. So digital is at the moment this incredible tool, and the photographers are delivering to us images. They're delivering them down the line already quite photoshopped. We send them back and say we want the raw shot. So they're playing with it. It's like a new Nintendo to them. We have to get them over it.
I wonder if there's a reality here. I mean, there's a reason that a lot of people who appear in front of a TV camera are a wee bit narcissistic. It's because you try looking at yourself on TV, and
it's horrible.
It is. And yeah, and there's a practical thing. You look at say the likes of Sue Bradford and Helen Clark. Both had image makeovers for the sake of their political effectiveness. I mean, is that wrong?
It's a good question, but actually, I think male politicians are.
Yeah, should we have a look at the Helen Clark picture, because there's been no end of controversy about whether this was photoshopped, and if it was, does it matter?
I mean, personally, I don't think it's a big deal. Do you know what I mean? Like, the woman needed some help. Let's be honest. Like, and I love her very much, but. I mean, if your face was going to be on a billboard, wouldn't you want a bit of teeth whitening or, you know, a bit of defrizzing?
Well, I actually remember interviewing her about it, and we did the interview, and then it was photograph time, and she really very dutifully, like she had no love for it at all, took out her makeup bag, put her makeup on, and I asked her about it. She said it's completely utilitarian. She'd realised that it had become a distraction, the fact that she wasn't wearing makeup and she hadn't done her hair.
So. Yeah, and that's
poor Helen. She's got so much else going for her, and they're judging her on her looks.
Well, there's hopeful things too. I mean, there's stars like Beth Ditto from The Gossips, who's quite a heavy woman, and she's considered cool now. She's on Condé Nast this month talking about fashion. Well, how fabulous is that? I mean, there are anomalies out there, and perhaps your magazine choice will be an anomaly, because I actually don't think that this trend is going to win. I actually think that what's happening is that the truth is that the reason this is all going on is that women spend, I think you probably know this better than I do, Christine, 70%, 70 cents to every dollar is spent by the woman in the household. So in other words, she is the consumer voice that almost all marketers are appealing to, even for cars and computers and everything else. So what's happening is that advertisers don't have every incentive not to make women feel good about themselves. They have every incentive to make us feel like we need to reinvent who we are, because that's why we buy new stuff and we buy new creams and we buy into plastic surgeries, because we have the money for it and we're making the financial choices. It's our change that's going across the counter.
Well, we might take a break here from talking about women, because we haven't talked about men at all. And in this week's Take Two, Sarah Daniel has a message for a man transformed.
Dear Rodney, as I write, you're probably bench pressing and thinking about your next protein shake. Rodney Hyde. They used to call you the Rhino.
His nickname, the Rhino.
But you proved them wrong. You are the poster boy for extreme makeovers, Rodney.
No.
Oh yes, you have been transformed from a brick to a fleet-footed, swarthy stud. There's never been any doubt about your manhood, Rodney. But you are so metro. And you know image makeovers aren't just for the girls.
I realise this is why I'm in politics.
Okay, this probably wasn't your finest hour. Or this. But when you're as powerful as you are and hunted by the media, it must be so hard to see yourself everywhere. Image is everything. You might have been a bit of a lemon on the dance floor, but you wear lemons so well, Rodney.
What do you think of my jacket, ladies?
You play the game, Rodney.
It's not my nature to sit on the sidelines. If I get the opportunity, I get in.
I know you have a girlfriend, Rodney, and I'm okay with that. But for the record, thanks for having the guts to lose the guts, Rodney. You're a legend.
Yeah, I'm a Kiwi bloke.
Sarah Daniel there with that little love letter. Oh, well, Tracy, we all laugh, but you have to say it has worked for Rodney Hine, hasn't it?
Well, somebody has to tell Rodney that nobody looks good in yellow. I went back to the States recently, and I read that there was a New York Times, this was this summer, northern summer, and there was a piece in the New York Times about the new hipster look for men is pot bellies and shorts. And as you, everybody sucks it up. But within the same visit, I saw a piece in the Wall Street Journal, yes, the stodgy old Wall Street Journal, and it was a 1,500-word piece on cankles for women. And I thought, sorry, is that a blank look?
I don't even know what cankles are.
Cankles are like fat ankles, basically.
When your calves go into your ankles.
Well, maybe next time we'll talk about cankles.
Journal, mate.
And maybe next time we can get on to Men's Health magazine, which is a fairly terrifying thing in itself. But we do have to wrap up here. Thank you to Christina Wickstead, Joe Cotton and Tracy Barnett. After the break, the Radio Network's Bill Francis on the past, present and future of talk radio.